Kari Lake had something interesting to say very recently, talking about BDE. And this is a common phrase she references that a lot of the youth are using it these days. And if you're not familiar with BDE, well, you can look it up, or I can just tell you what it means. It stands for Big DeSantis Energy. And I don't know what you were thinking it stood for, but here is Kari Lake explaining what that stands for and what it means. We're going to listen to Ron DeSantis, who comes out and demonstrates some of that BDE. And then we're going to wrap it up with Kari Lake. She was on the Charlie Kirk show, and they were having a conversation about Kari Lake's race. She's capturing a lot of eyeballs all throughout America here in Arizona. And she made the point, I think she's kind of onto something here, that this in Arizona is the most important race in the country, because if Arizona falls, if America loses another border state, then Texas is next, and then we're all doomed. And so we got to check in with Kari Lake and that BDE. Here is how she explained it to all of us when she was at this conference over at Turning Point.
I'm going to tell you a little bit. I just got to spend time with him. Love the guy. Fantastic. He is gutsy. The guy has bigger... Okay. Wait, let me think about how I want to word this. My staff always says, whatever you do, do not say balls. So I'm not going to say it. That guy has a backbone made of steel. I'll tell you what he's got. I don't know if you heard of this, but he's got BDE. Anybody know what that means?
Oh!
Ask your kids about it later. I call it Big DeSantis Energy.
Gotcha!
Right? He's got the same kind of BDE that President Trump has. And frankly, he has the same kind of BDE that we want all of our elected leaders to have.
Kari Lake has some pretty BDE, doesn't she? I mean, can you say that? I'm pretty sure she does. A lot bigger BDE than a lot of other dudes I know. So I'd say she certainly does. But it's pretty interesting to hear, this language coming from, sort of everybody. A lot more colorful language, a lot more aggressive language coming from top to bottom. Doesn't matter House of Representatives, gubernatorial candidates, state representatives, state races. It is becoming a lot more interesting. We have Ron DeSantis, who came out. Now he's also responding to the Trump raid, and people are watching this very closely because, they're saying that these two could be potential rivals in the upcoming primary race. Ron DeSantis, out of Florida, capturing a lot of eyeballs. He's sort of second place in a lot of polls in the Republican primaries. And they were watching him to see if he's acting with glee at Trump's misfortune, schadenfreude, or happiness is seeing your neighbor fall off his roof. Not your nice neighbor, not the little nice old lady, that other jerk, who always does the thing with the garbage cans, that guy. He falls off his roof, and you sit there like a nice neighbor and you say, well, what can I do about it? Ron DeSantis, is he watching Trump fall off the roof, giddy and gleeful, or not? People are listening to this and they want to see what he says. And it sounds like he's supporting him because he recognizes that this is a principled problem and he does not want to see it happen in America. Let's listen.
These agencies have now been weaponized to be used against people that the government doesn't like. And you look at the raid at Mar-a-Lago, and I'm trying to remember, maybe someone here can remind me about when they did a search warrant at Hillary's house in Chappaqua.
Yeah.
And she had a rogue server and she was laundering classified information. I don't remember them doing that. I do remember them manufacturing a false conspiracy theory about Russia collusion. I remember that. That was not true. That was an abuse of power. I remember a lawyer for the FBI got caught doctoring an application for FISA surveillance against an innocent man.
Yeah.
I remember the FBI at Merrick Garland's direction being sicked on parents going to school board meetings. Meanwhile, when you have a law that protects Supreme Court justices, is the FBI out there protecting our conservative justices? No. When you have violations of law where people are targeting pregnancy crisis centers, are they doing their job and enforcing the law there? No. They're enforcing the law based on who they like and who they don't like. That is not a republic. Well, it may be. It's a banana republic when that happens.
Okay, so Ron DeSantis, right? He's defending Donald Trump. He could easily not say anything, right? There's a lot of politicians who are not saying anything. Like, where's Mitch McConnell? He's been pretty quiet over this whole thing, right? And a lot of the other Republicans are sort of giddy and gleeful that Donald Trump might be falling off of his roof. They're not happy with him. And so any displeasure, misfortune that goes his way, they are happy to ignore, even if many people who support them are unhappy with that failure to support Trump. Lastly, we've got Kari Lake. She was on the Charlie Kirk show, and she was actually on there with Blake Masters. They were doing this sort of a tag team duo probably after that event. So you can see here's Kari Lake here. Here's Charlie Kirk. I think he's like the president or CEO of TP, very, very high up over there. And then you've got Blake Masters, who's running for Senate. So we've got kind of this pair who, these two candidates running for Arizona. Blake Masters is running against Mark Kelly, which is the apparent NASA scientist that we have as our senator, who has yet to explain how the new Infrastructure Act is going to bring more rain and water to Arizona. I still don't know how that's going to happen, but apparently if you spend like $700 billion, you can get more water to your state, which is great because we could use that. I'm wondering why we just don't spend more money then to just get more water, because apparently we can do that. I didn't know that was a thing. All right, I guess to change the weather, I guess we just spend money and the weather changes. It's gonna solve all of our wildfires. He's a NASA scientist. Okay, so here is Blake Masters, who's running against him for Senate, and he doesn't say much in this clip. But Kari Lake, man, she is good. She is polished as can be. She sort of outclasses everybody on this show, as a media personality. And as you watch this clip, I noticed this very well. They have a multi-camera thing going on. So, I have multi-cameras that I'm working on setting up. So I notice when I watch this stuff. But Kari Lake, she looks at this. She'll look at another angle. She actually is following the cameras around, whereas the other guys are not. And, she was a former news anchor, so she's very, very good at this stuff. And, I expect to see her run for president. Not far off, like pretty soon. Like maybe not 2024, but pretty soon. She's good at it. Here, let's listen.
I know it sounds highly suspect because I'm running, but I think my race is the most important race in the country. We cannot afford to lose another border state to a socialist. Look at California. Look what's going on in New Mexico. We've got to hold this state and hold it tight. And we need someone who's going to be tough on the border. That's why I believe one of the reasons that I
watch her look at the other camera. Watch
I had
over
a
here.
border plan. I have a
here.
border plan that is going to be the most aggressive, bold border plan that this country's ever seen.
Nobody else is looking at the
start
camera.
Implementing it on day one. And we can't get a Katie Hobbs in there because she's an open borders person. She's an open borders globalist. And she has no desire to close that border and stop the drugs from coming over. Scares the heck out of me. I think Arizonans are onto it, and I think they're going to vote like their lives depend on it because, frankly, our country depends on it. And that's why we get donations from out of state, Charlie. I am the governor of Arizona. I will be the governor of Arizona, but this governorship is really almost the governor of other states as well.
It's the beachhead for so many other states.
Because the border problem impacts every other state. And, if you're in North Carolina, your governor might care about the border, but he or she can't do anything about it because they're not on the border. It's going to take the border governor of Arizona to.
All right, so go check the rest of that interview out over at the Charlie Kirk show. They're right next door on YouTube. He's got his channel, and Kari Lake's got all her channels. But I think she's exactly right. And that clip wasn't the clip that I was thinking about. There's other clips where she's following the cameras around. It's really amazing. But anyways, the point is, she is running. She's got some of that same BDE that she says that Trump and DeSantis has, and I think that's allowed these days. She's allowed to have that. So shout out to Kari Lake and our people in Arizona. It's going to be a very interesting race to watch. I think there's going to be all sorts of money being poured into this, and I can't wait until she wins. It's going to be a lot of fun to listen to her agitate the rest of the country, not all of the country, but large portions of it, for another 4 years when she's in the governor's office. So we'll continue to follow Kari Lake, and I hope you join us on that journey. Thank you for subscribing and following along as we do.